Hello, so today I want to talk a little bit about procrastination and how it relates to language learning. I'm not a psychologist, I can't tell you how your brain works, but I do know a little bit about language learning, so I want to talk about how procrastination manifests itself in language learners. So how do we do it? We could tell ourselves that non-effort is effort. For example, we could reblog or share some post that shows some grammar point that's really difficult, and we share it to all of our followers and we think, okay, I did some French today. When in reality, we didn't learn anything. It's something very performative, but we might misunderstand that as effort. We could order new books that we don't intend to use. I can say I've never used that one, I've never used that one, or that one. We tell ourselves, okay, when I get this book in the mail, I'm going to use it. But in reality, we don't really use it because we didn't really have that much of a drive. We thought that spending money would bring that drive. You could review something that you already know too well. Disclaimer, reviewing isn't bad per se, but it is bad to review something you know extremely well. Of course, there's a curve of forgetting things. You should be reviewing things that are low on that curve, not something that's very high. For example, if I've been learning Korean for 8 years, I think it would be wasting time to review the alphabet. That's long gone. I don't need that. That is very strong in my knowledge, and reviewing it would be a waste. Maybe you do something similar. Maybe you review a grammar point that's comfortable to you just because you think it counts as effort and you can pat yourself on the back because you did it today. Maybe we write beautiful notes or write beautiful calendars to show what we plan to do with our languages with the intention of sharing it on social media. I see a lot of people make the most beautiful posts on Instagram, and I can tell they put way more effort into the planning and the notes than the language learning. We'll get back to Instagram a little bit later. That's how we do it. Well, why do we do it? Because we need to know why we do it so that we can counter that problem. Well, one, we could misunderstand what effort is. Effort in learning languages is getting new information or reinforcing some old information that isn't so strong or deep in your foundational knowledge. That is effort. And if you're wasting time doing something else, planning about what you're going to do, or looking at something you already know way too well, you're procrastinating. Another reason we might do it is laziness. Of course, we all get lazy sometimes. We might think, okay, watching a movie in my native English is gonna be much easier than watching a movie in French. And that is a legitimate point. Sometimes we don't have the mental capacity to learn a language. That's legitimate. You don't need to burn yourself out. Another reason we might procrastinate is fear. We have a fear of making a mistake, or fear of messing up your sentence, fear of embarrassing yourself in front of a native speaker. Maybe it's fear of not understanding a grammar point, so you don't want to continue with your learning. You want to stop here where you are comfortable and you know everything. You don't want to turn the next page and see a grammar point that's going to be very difficult. All of this fear makes us lie to ourselves and tell us we're doing something when we're really not doing anything with our language. What are some strategies to stop doing that? I personally like to find fun ways to learn my language passively. That could be music, that could be YouTubers, that could be games. Just something I was already planning to do. Do it in your target language. I don't feel bad because I'm wasting time, because I am passively learning something, but I'm not overloading myself in the way that I'm going to burn out by constantly reading or constantly doing grammar or constantly doing vocab practice. Just find ways that learning is fun. In that case, you're not going to avoid doing it because you actually enjoy doing it. Another good strategy is to start small. I have an example of this. Last week I returned from my vacation, and on my Anki I had lots of words that needed to be reviewed because just traveling was more than 24 hours, so there was 2 or 3 days worth of words that needed to be reviewed. And it was like some crazy number that I didn't want to deal with. It was like 80 or 90 words in each of my 4 decks, so probably like between 300 and 400 words to review, and that was really overwhelming. So what I tried to do is make an agreement with myself that, okay, I will get it done, but I'll do it calmly. So I'll do 10 words at a time, go take a break, go to the bathroom, watch a YouTube video, do 10 more words, go to the bathroom, watch a YouTube video, do 10 more words. And like this, little by little, through the day, I finally got through those 300 words without feeling overwhelmed. And looking back, in that day, I reviewed a lot of words, but it didn't feel like so much because I kind of made an arbitrary agreement with myself that just 10 words, just 10 words. So for you, if you have difficulty going back into your target language, just make a small arbitrary agreement with yourself. Just 5 minutes of this, just review 5 words, just write 1 practice sentence. Do that each day, and you can increase later. Nothing is better than anything, and doing nothing is worse than anything. So just take it little by little, and eventually you'll get something done. I think this is a very important strategy for me, and hopefully it can be a good strategy for you. Something else we can do is connect learning to some kind of obligation. For some people, that is some kind of due date. So maybe they have a test scheduled that they paid $100 for, so they really need to improve their skills by then because they don't want to waste their money. Maybe for some people that's a vacation, and maybe they need A2 level by the time they get on that plane. Personally, for me, due dates are a little too strong, so I can't recommend everybody do that. I don't like due dates because they add pressure, but don't add motivation for me. So they make my heart beat faster without getting me excited. So for me, my obligation is something in between, where it's not so strict, but it still pushes me in the right direction. And I can see that might be not enough for some people because they're going to not follow their own plan. So for me, it's Instagram. I mentioned Instagram earlier in a bad light, but in this way, it's a good thing for me. I have an arbitrary agreement with myself that I'm going to post once a day. There's no reason I have to do once a day, but I just told myself a few months ago that once a day is what I should be going for with Instagram. Of course, some days I mess up, especially when I'm traveling. I miss a day, and that's totally alright. I don't beat myself up over that. But it's enough to push me. I need to prepare a post for Instagram. Usually I queue it and I have it prepared in advance, but I see, okay, maybe my queue is really low of posts for Instagram, so I need to crack open my textbook and get some learning done so I can get a good picture and a good caption for Instagram. This could be a dangerous method because some people kind of perform language learning just so they can get a pretty picture. But for me, I avoid this by trying to have some useful information in the caption to kind of show to my audience that, yes, I really did learn today. This is some funny grammar point I learned. I'm complaining about it in this caption. I hate this grammar point. Something like this to really push myself to kind of really learn. It's not about the pretty picture. I can make pretty pictures, but I need to kind of prove that I did it. Maybe in that picture you're going to see my notes that I actually did take, and I'm not trying to make them extra pretty. I'm just trying to actually push myself to learn. So when I'm talking about creating an obligation for yourself, for me, the sweet spot is not a due date, but more like an arbitrary tradition. And if I break that tradition, it's alright, I can go back to it. It's not like the Duolingo streak where you break it and that's it, it's over. You might as well stop here. The Instagram tradition is a little better. You missed a day, okay, nobody really noticed. Well, that's that on that. Hopefully that can be useful for some people. Procrastination is human nature, and I just wanted to talk about how it expresses itself in language learning and maybe my tips that can help you. Well, thank you for watching today. I'll see you for another video very soon, alright? Ciao, ciao.